J'ai une question notamment par rapport au Ghana, un pays où j'ai eu déjà l'occasion d'aller. Je voudrais savoir quelles sont les mesures pratiques et est-ce que vous avez un exemple de mesures mises en place par le gouvernement pour, pas forcément encourager, mais pour un jeune diplômé des Antilles, pour un jeune diplômé d'Amérique, d'Europe, quels sont est-ce que vous avez des exemples de mise en place par le gouvernement ghanéen actuel de mesures pour les accompagner au Ghana?
Thank you so very much. Ghana government does not directly provide opportunities for individuals, but provides opportunity for growth in all areas. It is always good for an individual who is coming to Ghana to find a local partner. And also, if you need opportunities, relationships that you have can open the doors for you. We have equal, Ghana have one of the most liberal policies as far as women are concerned, as far as foreigners are concerned. If you come to Ghana with the right documents, you can work.
Okay.
Any monies you make, you are free to take out of the country, provided you pay your tax. We have opportunities and incentives because we realize that you can only grow a country when you create opportunities for those who are coming with expertise and certain knowledges and certain knowledge. So Ghana is very lucrative, even among the ECOWAS countries, the 13 ECOWAS countries around us. People come to Ghana because they have freedom of movement. And those who come from abroad, you find more Europeans coming in, you find more Arabs coming in, you find more Chinese coming in, and Ghana is a place where there's activity all the time. Those who come in with ideas, with local partners, get a hand up,
okay,
and they're able to succeed.
So you would say it's like what the actual London government is doing right now?
Yes, our government policies are very encouraging for both foreign direct investments or any form of investment. At the same time, when people come in with knowledge and expertise in certain areas, there are companies and there are individuals who will help to facilitate your coming and make your residency or your stay much easier.
Okay, great.
If you don't have anyone, just let me know. I'll bring you in.
Thank you.
Merci. Est-ce qu'il y a d'autres questions dans la salle? D'autres personnes qui voudraient poser? Oui, monsieur.
Hello, sir. You just talked about the way Ghana supports some kind of businesses. How about tech companies, IT companies? Is there any kind of support from the government that supports those kind of companies? Are they usually from Ghana? Are they usually international? So yeah, that's why I wanted to know.
Well, let me first say I am very proud to be a Ghanaian because today Ghana is one of the most respected high-tech countries in the world. Most of the major players are now coming to Ghana to recruit people from Ghana. When you go to the major tech companies in the world, the big ones you know of, they all look for Microsoft and the rest. They all look at Ghana today. Ghana government, as I said earlier, has created opportunities for Ghanaians to benefit first, and for those who come in with expertise to benefit. There are different institutions in Ghana, individual institutions, that also position those people in those areas, tech areas. If you have abilities, people are building, people are creating, and some are actually consulting with foreign companies. So it is lucrative and very competitive. But we believe that is the way to go. That is the next revolution. Let me say something to you that is of interest to all of us. A group of us, are very involved in promoting the awareness of millennial power. Now, I am a chancellor of 2 universities in Ghana. And one of the things that I remind our people is this. Let's focus and prepare the next generation. Let's begin to remind them that very soon they'll be running governments. Let's find out where they are heading, what they want to do, and what kind of expertise they can add to build a country. I have a center called the Drolor Center for Strategic Leadership. For those who want to go into politics, we want to teach you how to run a government. For those who want to do business, we want to teach you how to run business. The goal is we don't want them to always bury their creativity and borrow from ideas that will not solve present challenges. So if you have any idea and you are a forward thinker, you are progressive, you get the support anywhere. There are companies that will sponsor some of their students and sponsor individuals. Some of us give scholarships. The goal is incentivize them. If you have this gift, I will scholarship you to go to school. If you finish, you're going to invest your knowledge to help young people for at least 2 or 3 years. After that, you're free to go. And those who are able to develop apps and all of that, they partner with individuals who help market their products. So government supports education of all forms. Our communities encourage education of all forms. But our next thing is education without application is frustration. What can we do to create opportunity for the people who have degrees to put their degrees to work? I don't want somebody to get a nursing degree and go and become a receptionist somewhere. Put your degree to work. Let's start very early. Let's find out where their interest lies, and let's provoke that interest, support the interest. So if you come to Ghana, the thing we are learning is don't tell government to do everything for you. Government can only create policies. But if government is to give you, then government is becoming your mother or father. That is not the role of government. Government is to create opportunity for you to succeed. We need to deal with companies, businesses, entrepreneurs who can actually help us to move. So we have to encourage entrepreneurs to rise within our communities. And they are the ones who can make economies grow, not government. Government will protect the country. Government will lead the country. Government will give good representation, but it's the people within the country who form the government who makes things happen. Because if not, what happens is you get everything handed to you. That is not the way to go. You have to be creative. So don't expect government to pay your bills, government to put food on your table, government to do everything for you. No. We have to do it ourselves. And this is what we have learned to encourage our young people. Don't wait for handouts. Be creative. Be innovative. And also add solution rather than adding to a problem.
Thank you.
Merci, les propos qui ont une certaine résonance chez nous, je dois dire. On va vous passer le micro, monsieur.
May I? I'm Paolo Bisogni, President of the European Logistics Association. Thank you very much, Your Majesty, for your very inspiring speech. I was particularly surprised positively by your prompt of thinking out of the box. Now my question. In our profession, let's say the logistics infrastructures required to any country are extremely expensive. Building ports, dry ports, railways, airports, motorways requires a huge amount of money. And I can see a risk of, how can we call it, modern colonization linked to the need of investing in logistics infrastructures for African countries. There is a risk linked to debt. Debt can be a form, I would say is a form of modern slavery, which has to be avoided. Now, my question is, do you think that thinking out of the box can lead to creative forms of finance that can relieve this risk for African countries? Thank you, Your Majesty.
Thank you so much, sir. Your question is timely, and I'm very inspired by your question. And my answer to you is yes. Let me say this. So many years ago, I was a special advisor to the Assistant Secretary General of United Nations and head of UNDP Africa. I took a tour all across the continent to assess the conditions of Africa and what we can do to make a difference. I am not a politician, I'm a king. Politicians are voted in and they voted out, but the king is permanent. Our tradition, we are the fathers of the land. And the lands that our government use, they pay us royalties. Any resource that we have in the country belongs to government for national development, but the land is ours. They can exercise certain executive domain rights, but they will do it in concert with traditional leadership. The fortunate thing for us in Africa today is that most of the kings in Africa are very educated. Most of them are doctors, lawyers, scholars, businessmen. They are world experienced and also very, very knowledgeable. We are realizing that we have to create not the traditional, but non-traditional business platforms for sustainability. We are aware that in certain parts of the continent, or many parts of the world, we know that certain levels of corruption exist. We are also aware that from time to time, if you happen to be in office and I'm in the opposition, I'll fight everything you do, good or bad. And when you leave office and I come to office, I'll do the very things I fought you for. So we have to begin to think outside the box and also have to create new paradigms. We are beginning to realize that, you see, because we're always trying to do business with politicians, that is where at times we encourage them to be corrupt. Let's do business with the grassroots. Let's do business with those who respect politics and respect politicians, but never want us to be entrapped again in economic enslavement. What are the best ways to go by this? I believe that we have to deal with stakeholders. Though if you want to build something, find out individuals who are politically sane, economically stable, socially relevant, and who can help to make sure that both social and corporate responsibility is done correctly. Then you could find ways and means to create partnership. Again, in partnership, it's not always money to money. You can bring money as an investor or as a partner, and you can find somebody who has goodwill, respect, honor, land, and they give us a leverage in partnership. Logistics is necessary because even China is creating Silk Road, and all of these things are happening at the expense of Europeans, and we are backdoored. We have learned lessons from slavery. We've learned lessons from colonization. We've learned lessons from economic sustainability. I believe if we have like-minded people, like this forum is providing, and we have serious conversations, we can create opportunities which cannot be and would not be interrupted by politics. There are ways to be done, and I have some ideas. This is one reason why I came to this conference, to see what is happening, and also to see how best we can link, because there are other areas and there are other leaders who want to do likewise. The good news is there's an organization called the African Traditional Rulers Association, and I'm the chairman. So the goal is to bring all kings together to find another paradigm of doing a new business where it's a win-win situation, and investors get their good returns, the natives get opportunities and economic empowerment, and where there's no exploitation or there's no another form of colonialism. I would like to talk to you later further because you've asked some questions where I would like to further explore and gain knowledge from you. Thank you, sir.
Merci. Une autre question de monsieur. On va lui passer le micro. Voilà.
Thank you. Good morning, Your Majesty. Wonderful presentation. My name is Darwin Telemac. I'm the port manager of Antigua and involved in a few regional organizations. I sit here and I'm enthused by your, I must say, overwhelming enthusiasm. And so you've lit the room on fire, I think. There are some historical and cultural logistic challenges. There is the inherent mistrust of the African continent that has permeated our existence in this side of the world, which is a starting point. There are stories that we hear, lots of them, they are just stories, but yet they guide our connection, they guide our level of trust, and the investment or even the interest will follow that. So as you present this very glowing prospects and opportunity for those of us who are involved in the business, and those of us who are coming from behind, which I think is the critical network that needs to foster what's going forward, I think there ought to be a discussion about how we build the logistics that covers this high level of mistrust to redesign a culture that connects in an honest, integrated way, first, so that the social pieces that needs to bind us back again exist. Because from the political, there are significant banking issues, there are immigration issues, there are citizens from Africa that can't access some of our shores because of the political structure that creates some of these challenges. And so we have to, as we look at designing the commercial side, look at the very thing that you're discussing, which is the insidious but strong political structures that exist that almost eliminates the prospects of what you're pushing forward. I think the cultural and social components can override that, which is what I'm hearing you saying, that we can move beyond the political and find areas to reach in. So as you spoke about that group, that last group that you mentioned, I don't quite remember them. Maybe at the next, because we expect there to be a next supply chain event, Sandra, we could see some more of that group integrate in the system so we could be exposed to them and not literally see and feel and touch and listen. Because I truly believe that as the world is emerging, there is a phenomenon in Africa that was highlighted in all of the news media just recently, and that is Africa has the youngest emerging middle class on the planet, largest. And so it is in fact necessary that we connect back to our roots, socially and culturally, but also to explore some of those prospects and possibilities. There's no doubt that the Caribbean, which is filled with African descendants, are in fact disconnected. So we want that logistics of hearts and mind to be reconnected so that we can bridge the other difficult steps that can lead to foster the prosperity that you are indicating is possible.
Thank you so much. Your question and also your contribution is key. Let me say this. I want to do this experiment. 1 second. Perception is reality. Perception is reality. This is a glass with water. Everybody is entitled to their opinion, but also it depends on the orientation. If you hear one thing so many times, you tend to believe it. If you see the same thing so many times and long, you tend to accept it. This is a glass, and I have a perception of what's in it. I can ask you what is in it, and you will tell me it's a glass with water. But I can give you the scientific name of water. If that is in my mind, you don't know until I tell you. But at the same time, if I ask the question, if you look at this glass, tell me, what do you see? And the question is it half full or half empty? To those who are looking at it, some will say it's half full. And to those who are looking at it differently, they say it's half empty. It's perception. Let me also make this point. When you are in a valley, you see a hill like a mountain. When you're in a valley, you see a hill like a mountain. There are so many difficulties and so many challenges that has faced Africa. There's so many stories, true and false. And there's so many things which is being used to extend the divide and also to make us confused and create distrust amongst us. Let me say this, and I'll say it respectfully, because I do policy. And also where I sit, I realize that one of the most unrecognized powers of Africa is a kingship in Africa. No political power will destroy what a king builds, because you need a king to win election. But because of the systems that we have minimized the influence of kings. And because all of our power is shifted to politics, we hear what is politically said. May I encourage this conversation this way? Africa, as I said, is ready for business. And some of us are doing everything we can to disqualify the myths and also to make sure that we look at solution point rather than the problem point. What can the Caribbean do and what can Africa do to create a relationship that will provide opportunities? For so many years, Ghanaian physicians were going to Cuba to get training. There was a time they were going to Russia, they were going to England, they were going to Canada, they were going to Germany, they were coming to the United States. But today, some of them are trying to build a relationship with the Caribbean. And as you said, logistics is one of the most critical things. Your knowledge and experience is very needed. And I believe you can lead a delegation for us to have a serious conversation and see what we can do and how we can do to promote. I can say to you, the Caribbean has so much to offer. You have so much to offer that every dream of every married person in Africa is to come to the Caribbean for holidays. They believe if your relationship of love is failing, when you come to Caribbean, it will revive. Okay. At the same time, there are opportunities in Africa. In fact, our former president, before he left office, legislated that all the Caribbeans in Africa, in Ghana, they translate from working permits to citizenship. If these things are encouraged, and our government is seriously about that, the kings are serious about that, because some of us are encouraging to create opportunities in our communities where we can develop rather than trying to develop only the capital city and leave the rest of the country unattended. I believe there's a discussion to be had and the opportunities that can be explored. And if this is done, we can dismiss the exploitations or minimize the impact of exploitation. And let me stand to make another statement. If we're standing here and I tell you that the house you have, which is the hut that you have, I can scare you to run away from your own house. I will say to you that when I was coming to your house, I saw 5 lions coming and I scared them off. And from the way of things, they will be coming in the midnight. So what will you do? You run away the midnight and you leave your goods, because when you're running for safety, you forget what you've left behind. Gone are the days when Africa was exploited, but there's a group of people rising up who are enlightened, who will not fight, but they can debate their points and can make sense enough to resolve the challenges that we have and literally turn things around. I feel the Caribbean has something wonderful. Africans have something wonderful that we can actually take advantage of and build and bridge the gap. If you come to the slave castle, which we showed, let me tell you something that the world has not been told. Over 60 million people died in the slave trade. But who is going to tell our story for us? Because history says that whoever tells your story, his story, the last one who says it, his words is what is accepted. We were convinced that we didn't have our own history, which is not true. We have oral history. So what is happening is the academic world has now realized that oral history is as valid as written history. We have to be able to market what we have. We have to be able to make sense. If you understand me and I understand you, I believe we can create not only a dialogue, but create opportunity. I find gold here. I want the gold, but you don't know it's gold. And we happen to be standing around here talking and chit-chatting. I know that it's gold, and this is what I've been looking for all my life. What will I do? I will use sand to cover the gold or the diamond, and I'll move you out of the place. I'll still be talking to you, but move you away from what I've discovered. And whilst I'm talking to you, my eye is on it. We'll dismiss our conversation earlier than planned. And when you go, I'll come and unearth it and pick it. This is what was done to us years past. Our resources are handled and held by other forces. But today, the point is, we don't need to fight physically. Let's fight ideologically. Let's make sense. Let's not spill blood. And let's be civil. What are the best ways for us to solve our problems without a third person? Because if we can create doubt and suspicion among each other, then what happens is we'll run away from each other. But let's always remember, your enemy's enemies becomes your best friend. Let's solve the problem of divided we stand. Because divided we fall. United we stand. Let's find a common point. What can we agree on? And let's use it to build the rest. I'm here to say to you that Africa is ready for business, especially Ghana. There are opportunities. Let's go home. Let's talk with the players. And let's find the right way. And we have to actually talk to our politicians to make laws that can help free trade and also flow of investments. I am saying, why don't the Caribbean, instead of waiting on aids or grants, find out from African businessmen, can you come to the Caribbean? You stay in my house. I don't have land for you. Come stay in my house. Let's do business together. There are different things that can be done. And I believe we have to take advantage of it. In the shipping area, there's a lot of things that can be done. Let's find ways and means around it. And if people who are decision makers make enough noise, I believe the authorities will hear. So let's find a common ground to come up with new ideas and say that what solutions do we provide? And I believe you are key to making that happen.
Merci. Peut-être deux dernières questions peut-être, parce qu'il faudra passer à l'autre séquence.
Yes, Your Majesty. Excellent presentation. I just want to speak about innovation. And as we know, some of the oldest universities in the world, oldest libraries were established in Africa. Mm-hmm. So could you speak about the innovation that is taking place in Africa and how we can create value and capture that value to create these opportunities that you speak about?
Okay. Now, one great benefit in Africa today is we are beginning to look for the future presidents of Africa, not only in the form of men, but also in the form of women. Is innovation enough? In the Ghanaian culture, the woman has power. A woman may be quiet publicly, but she's the neck of the head. And our society respects mothers so much. So women and child girl education has been very, very important, just like the STEM program has been quite important. It is innovation to the point where if you come to many of the African countries, women have more education than men in many respects. Also, many companies are hiring women, and their top management are women. It's innovation. Why? Because the point is this. Some say that if a man steals from you or competes with you, You may have to fight them intellectually, but if a woman is supposed to steal, she will steal too much, just little, because of her credibility. We are beginning to ask questions. We begin to say, we have so many people who have done great historically, who have not been recognized. Let's recognize them. Then the young ones who are coming up, most of them are extremely advanced in terms of arts and culture. Some of them are also advancing in technology and also development. So there's so much here in our universities, there's so much in our communities, and actually you hear more success stories coming up every time and everywhere. I do feel that you all have some incredible success stories too, which ought to be added. One thing about Africa is that we like to read. We love to read. We love to read. And most of our people know even about external history than their own, but now we are involving our people to get involved and read as much. I think culturally they are relevant, socially they are relevant, and there are so many innovations, industry-wise, academic-wise, and also educational system that we inherited from the British. We are using a new method in educating people. As the chancellor and also a co-owner of a private university, the Lawa Open University, the goal is everybody can go to school. You don't have to have a degree or have high school diploma. We can assess you and you can study at the comfort of your home. It's partly innovation. And our institutions are hiring people who did not go through the traditional universities, but at least have knowledge of the experience. These are some things that I feel if we add to what we know, we can actually go forward in advancement.